This is the July 8th, 2025 open public meeting of the Needham Library Board of Trustees being held via hybrid format, allowing remote attendance. First, I will take a roll call to confirm that trustees, library staff, and persons anticipated to be on the agenda are present and can hear me. For trustees, Kay Cahill.
Here.
Gerhard Grafe.
Here.
J.P. Alcott.
Here.
Michael O'Neill.
Here.
Joshua Small. Here. And me, Rob Pettit. For library staff, Library Director Robert McLean.
Here.
Administrative Specialist Jenna White.
Here.
Program Specialist A. Ellen Bennett.
Here.
And Recording Secretary Faith Kristen.
Here.
This meeting is being recorded. If there is a problem that prevents the completion of this meeting, we will reconvene at 7 p.m. on August 12th, 2025. I hereby call this meeting of the Needham Board of Library Trustees to order at 7:03 p.m. First item on our agenda is public comments. Citizens are welcome to speak for up to 3 minutes each, not to exceed a total of 10 minutes. Citizens are encouraged to inform the library director in advance of their intention to speak. Those who provide advance notice will be called upon first. While the board will take public comments under advisement, there may be no opportunity for discussion or debate during this portion of the meeting. Are there any public comments? Okay. In that case, we can move on to our next agenda item, which is the minutes of the June 10th meeting as circulated to the board. Before we discuss, can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
I move to approve.
Second.
All right, we'll open it up to discussion.
Had no comments. Thank you.
Had no changes. Thank you, Faith.
All right, well, hearing no comments on the June 10th minutes, we can move to a roll call vote. Let's run through really quickly. Kay Cahill.
Aye.
Gerhard Grafe.
Aye.
That was a big
Sorry about
that.
that.
You had us on edge there. J.P. Alcott.
I'm going to make you wait like Earhart did. No. Aye.
Michael O'Neill.
Aye.
Joshua Small.
Aye.
And myself, aye. Great. In that case, we can move on to the director report.
Thank you, Rob. Some highlights from our busy June. The Children's Department reports that we've already exceeded our number of kids enrolled in our summer reading program. Already exceed the 2024 number of almost 700. So we're over 900 kids signed up. I think a lot of it has to do with the hard work and creativity of the children's room staff. You may know that the theme, the statewide theme, is Level Up, sort of a gaming theme.
Yep.
So our children's department has taken that to and added a dragon element.
Yes.
So there's dragon cards that can be earned as kids read their way through the program and level up their dragons and receive new cards. And it, I think, is really connected with a lot of kids. In addition, as last year, the schools, both private and public schools, are competing against each other in a readathon where dragons are flying across the sky. If you enter the children's department, on the left-hand side, there's a great mural showcasing that. So it's just a great program and lots of participation, and we're really excited about that.
Cheers for the children's department.
Yes. And then the last bullet here, Paula, Lucia, Wendy, and Elliot. Part of that success is related to the outreach that they do. So in June, they visited 15, well, not 15 schools, 15 school visits to promote the summer reading program, to get kids excited. And that has worked. We're excited about that. Part of the creativity and collaboration we see from the children's department consistently is our Splish Splash Storytime series with the Park and Rec department that is occurring this summer. I'll pass out the flyer to you.
Can I ask just a quick question about the school visits?
Yes,
As part of those visits, are there ways to make arrangements for kids to get library cards if they don't already have one?
I believe, yes, I believe that's done.
Because I love the
Either
connecting with the
before
schools,
or
but I think it would be nice to have it include a plan by which we make sure everyone,
Yeah,
Gets
I'm
a
not sure
library
if the
card.
teachers send home information for that or if something is done in class. I can
Okay.
check and get back to you.
thank you.
I think it is part of the visits. This Splish Splash story time is a great idea that the Park and Recs department had. So Paula, our fearless leader, will be donning her bathing costume on these dates and heading down to the pool, to the water pad area and doing a story time with laminated water protected books,
Yeah.
picture books for kids. And so it's really exciting and fun. Should really make for some enjoyable times. So
Next Monday.
yep, if you have
Get in
some
the pool.
kids, grandkids, or neighbors or friends who would be interested, please spread the word. Registration is requested. So that is lots of fun.
Great.
In addition, at the end of June, you may know Elise, who works in the children's department, worked hard and installed a story walk on the Bay Connector Rail as part of the Needham Rail Trail Commission. So that, again, is a collaboration where they reached out to us asking if we'd work with them to put up a story walk, and one is up for the summer. So
Beautiful spot.
Is there a way to set, would it violate public meeting laws if the trustees scheduled the time to take a story walk?
As long as we don't deliberate, I think we can enjoy it.
Yes.
So it's a wonderful picture book about nature written by a Massachusetts author, and it's nearish the High Rock entrance.
Previously, it's
by
been
the
way
town
down
forest.
the other end of the rail trail when I've done it in the past. I've seen it a
Okay.
few years ago.
So there's like a wooden fence that it's attached to along the rail, so it was easier to install than to put in stakes ourselves.
Oh, I see, yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be there all summer, and we hope to follow up with something in the fall. So that's exciting. Moving on to technical services department, the second bullet here talks about the massive project that's been going on this year and continues this summer for getting ready for the phase one project. So a lot of weeding and relabeling and moving of collections, and it continues, and a lot of work has happened, and we still are on track. And it's been a great collaboration within the library amongst the circulation department, the technical services department, reference, all working together to get us to that point where we're out of the way for September 3rd for when the on-site work begins.
So most of YA is coming down here.
No.
Okay.
Nope. And this information, besides me just telling you now, will be part of the patron FAQ that we'll be putting out by the end of July.
Mhm.
So the Bosworth room is going to become the temporary teen room. So a lot of the collection will be, the manga collection and graphic novel collection will be in the Bosworth room. A lot of the teen fiction will be on the bookcases by the 3 study rooms. And a lot of the collection will be boxed up on site for that period
The
of time.
stuff that's already in that room is gonna be boxed up.
What's in the Bosworth room is the old reference collection, and we went through that last summer and
Mhm.
took out what we wanted to keep and put it into the circulating adult nonfiction collection. So what is there is the remnants of a very old reference collection that we were planning on weeding.
Got it.
So it's been weeded out of the catalog now, and as soon as we're ready to move the teen collection there, we'll be recycling that collection. But in addition to all this movement on the second floor, the adults graphic novel collection on the second floor is going to find a new home on the first floor, and we are pulling forward the large print collection to give it more room, we've interfiled adult fiction. We're moving the physical audio visual collection to the walls where large print currently is. We're going to bring down some of the taller shelving from upstairs to replace the AV shelving here, so we can fit everything. So it's a whole bunch of dominoes, and so we're in the middle of that happening. So it may look a little strange. So the interfiling has finished, and we're moving the adult fiction collection forward so that we can move the large print collection off of the walls. So we put the physical AV collection onto the walls, and then bring the shelving from the second floor down to the first floor. And when that's done, move the large print forward so it's easier and more accessible to our patrons. And then we'll elongate the adult fiction and create more of a browsability look. Right now, it's from the bottom shelf all the way to the top shelf. That's not going to be the end result.
But I did notice a change, because I'm always walking around, and where it used to be that in the reorganized fiction stuff, where it used to be shelved, just books, books, books. Now there's much more with this open shelves and open face books, selected, that is more along those lines. And that's a noticeable difference, I think, from what we have seen sometimes in the past.
Yeah. So what you see in
You lose, I suppose, in terms of the number of books, maybe, in terms of reading, but you gain something in terms of the presentation, I suppose.
It brings life to the collection.
Right.
It's easier to browse and people can find what they want.
Yeah.
And it's no longer about just hoarding things that collect dust and nobody
It must be fun
wants.
deciding which of the books that are going to get them a nice open shelf for themselves, right?
Watch through and
Yeah.
pull out.
So what you see on the second floor in adult nonfiction is what adult fiction on the ground floor will look like, not using the very top shelf or the very bottom shelf, and then some display space, whether it's end of shelf or an entire shelf like you see upstairs. So just to create a more inviting space. The ground floor especially the back half, is a little intimidating. It's not very bright. It is not very welcoming, let's say. So we want to change that in this small way.
No place to sit in the back.
Right.
I thought that, I might be mistaken on this, that the plan was for the large prints to be intermixed with the regular print.
Oh,
Is that
no.
something we had talked about?
No, large
Similar
print
to
will
that.
remain its own collection
Okay.
outside of adult fiction, but it will also be interfiled. So there's not a separate large print mysteries collection separate from large print fiction.
Oh, okay,
Um,
gotcha.
But it will remain its own collection. It will live at the very front of the shelving for those patrons to have easier access to it.
And I think you said in previous meetings that I think mysteries and sci-fi are going to be mixed in with the regular adult fiction.
Yeah, so
collection,
that
right?
work is finished,
Yeah.
is complete.
I think there was some intermixing. I just
Yeah, that was.
got mistaken on which intermixing there was.
Yeah. And in the very end, the Lucky Day collection, which has been moved to the other side of Open Holds, will get a better location at the front of the new book collection. So when you walk right in, you'll see the Lucky Day collection, which we hope will drive more interest and create the feeling of more lucky days for our patrons with that collection. So I don't know why I started talking about all this, but but there's a
Oh, glad
lot.
you got it all in your head.
It's very impressive. You can see all the changes.
There's a lot going on.
You can imagine figuring out the order
I know.
step by step in order to do it all.
So, so technical services is taking the lead on making sure that all work is happening. We have a meeting tomorrow just to check in as to our progress, but we're on target to get all that work done on the timeline that we that allows us to get it done without going crazy and in time for our goal is that on Friday, August 22nd, a week and a half before construction starts on site, we're done. And we just have like a week of calm before the storm. So that is our goal. Moving on, because I know the agenda is long tonight. Circulation, just want to call out the circulation staff who have been doing a lot of the work with all of this shifting of collections that continues. And we are more than halfway through the shifting of the adult fiction collection forward. And we thank our patrons for their patience as we go through this. We know it's not easy to come and browse a collection that changes every week. But we're here to help, and in the end, we're really excited about the improvements for accessibility and the growth of parts of the collection. Moving on to personnel. We all know Angel's retired. His last day was Friday, June 27th. We had a really nice farewell for him and Kate on the Monday prior to his last day here. I think he was very happy and touched, and Kate too. So it was really nice. Staff really gave Angel a great send-off. So many thanks to Jenna for all her work on that and making that happen, from all the planning, the invitation to the execution and all, and speaking to Angel on behalf of the staff.
Not truly crying because I've missed him so much already.
I know, yeah.
I saw him afterwards, and he did seem to be sort of on a high, but he was very appreciative, I think.
Yeah. It was really great. Paula and Gay Ellen came back last week from Philadelphia, where they attended the annual conference of the American Library Association.
My knee is just recovering from all the work.
Yes.
It's a lot of it, but I got some really cool panels, and potentially we may actually be seeing, hopefully, one of those authors coming for the Friends annual meeting in June. We just sent out an invite on that.
Any especially interesting takeaway from the?
I learned an awful lot about the genres that I'm currently ordering, including some interesting viewpoints of what is there. I went to a lot of author things. But I also did some stuff on other topics. Went to an AI panel and a few other things. And I will admit, I did one thing for fun. I went to an author event that also had Paula Poundstone, did an hour's worth of comedy for
She's
us.
great.
And she does it without notes, guys. She just, it's full stream ahead. She just picks on whatever she sees out there and riffs on it, so.
And Carla.
And Carla, oh my God, I saw Carla Hayden. She was absolutely fantastic. Governor Whitmer was the keynote to start us off, and I also saw George Takei gave an absolutely fantastic talk. And my books that I collected are coming up with a friend in 2 weeks. I filled up a duffel bag.
Good for you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Paula also had a great time down there. She made a lot of use of the vendor hall to sort of scout out ideas for the children's department in preparation for phase 2. So
Great, great.
yeah.
Yes.
So
That's
thanks
great.
for all your support for that.
Oh, yeah. I really appreciate it, guys. I got to see a lot of vendors and made some personal contacts, and we'll see what we get out of those.
Yeah.
Including one with the nice lady from Library Reads, who actually gave me probably the premier book bag of the entire convention at the end. She noticed I've been going to her panels. So, yeah.
That's
And I'm happy to hear that they're already starting to plan ahead for phase 2.
They are.
You know, so I think that's good news to hear.
yeah. Paula's even taken a recent webinar about designing for libraries.
Great.
Paula's expenses for ALA were covered by a scholarship she received from the Mass Library System, and Gay Ellen's are covered through the monies we set aside in the state aid, or there's little bits of money all over the place. So, but in the library state aid for FY25, so that was a big help, and you'll see that request also in the FY26 library state aid plan later on tonight. But
It was
really,
well worth it, guys. I really enjoyed it.
Good.
and we're also already planning, staff are applying for scholarships now. The window closes on July 15th for scholarships for conferences from September through February.
Yeah.
So we're already planning on that. We want to make the most of other people's money to send our people to conferences. So, excellent. Phase one, the team room expansion and renovation. Last week, we sent out an FAQ to our staff with questions and answers and topics, just to help inform them about what's going to start happening on September 3rd. And it's going to be a living document as we get more questions or topics that we've missed. So we'll be updating that. It's in a folder shared with all staff members. So that's been done. And as I mentioned, there'll be an FAQ for patrons and the public. Not similar, not the same questions, but patron focus questions and answers that will be coming out by the end of July. And we'll share that with trustees and all our patrons and get that out.
Can we see the FAQ that you shared with the staff? I'd just be curious to.
Yep.
See.
Yeah, I'll send that out.
That's good.
And then the kickoff meetings have started. So we had one a couple weeks ago, and this morning we had our second meeting with Hank Half and Ken Sargent from the Building and Design Department, with Brett and Nicole from UTL Architects, and then Alex and Patrick, who are from Tower Construction Corporation. So when construction starts, these will be weekly meetings held on Thursday mornings that we'll all attend. Right now, they're as needed. So our next one is in early August. So sort of, contracts and submittals and lots of paperwork and stuff and all that. But
Rob, is it you now who's going to be the liaison with this stuff?
Yeah, I actually attended the PPBC meeting last night, and it sounded, Hank was there, and Ken as well, and it sounded like everything's on schedule. They're working on a couple of, I think, subcontracts. I'm getting those lined up. It sounded like there was one item that needed a competitive bid process for the subcontract, so they're going through that, if I recall correctly. But all sounds good.
We talked about at the last meeting about having the contractor come to our meeting.
Right.
Did you talk to them about, we talked about maybe doing it next month because that was going to be
right.
closer to that time?
Yeah. So I haven't, because I just wanted to talk about that again tonight.
Okay.
Just to ask, so I can prepare them for like what their role is. If it's just introduction and 5 minutes, or if trustees were thinking something.
I just know that I'm not going to be. I'm going to be out of the country and unavailable in the middle of August.
Yeah, I thought we had talked about more like an introductory, just so we
Just say,
Yeah,
Okay.
Maybe a
Like
a-
5-10 minute
brief
thing.
kind of walk through, that's kind of what the plan is.
they wouldn't need the whole team on,
Yeah.
maybe just a lead
Like
or
Hank
something.
and maybe,
And one of these from a
Order of events,
From the
and then we might ask.
Right,
them
at the tower,
questions.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Maybe a total of 15 minutes.
We can put that at the top of the program if they can make it, so that way it would just be, 7:15 for them.
okay,
It would
perfect.
be good for
I'll
us
see
to
if
have a
Ken
feel
or
for-
Hank can join in with Patrick.
Has
to-
the tower construction people, have people worked in town, anybody worked with them before? Is it-
Not with Tower,
They're completely new.
but the electrical subcontractor, Galway, has worked on several town projects
Mhm.
and are located in Needham. So,
They're a
some-
subcontractor.
right, so some of the subs have,
Tower, yeah, but a tower, I hadn't heard of. So.
Can I ask a question? Might have been answered already. As I recall, the bid came in for, where
Look,
for low.
Yeah.
Was the money that was otherwise allocated available for us to use for other purposes, or is that not the case?
yeah, the budget is still
The original
$2.386 million. So the general contractor bid that was accepted is 196,000 less than what we expected or had budgeted.
Right.
So the contingencies increased, and then we're doing some other things. We're gonna do like.
So we're able to use that money.
Yes.
That's what I'm
We
asking.
won't
So,
devalue it.
okay.
At town meeting, we
Great.
didn't reduce the ask by 196,000.
Thanks.
But the money still has to be spent on the.
Right, of course. Yeah.
That'd be more like the what if kind of thing. Worst case scenario, yeah, like a cushion.
Yeah, no, nobody wants that.
No one wants
Nobody
that.
wants that. No.
And I'm not sure if I mentioned it here in June, but the workday schedule, Monday through Friday, will be 6:30 a.m. until 2:30 a.m. There was some consideration of starting the day here at 6 a.m., but the work day for the construction crews will be at 6:30 a.m. And
Until
Ken,
2:30 a.m.
To be a.
p.m.
I got nervous.
Oh, yeah.
Sounded like a long day.
Yeah.
Did they get a
AM
variance from
to
the
AM.
town about that?
What?
Did they get a variance from the town about that? Because I know there's like,
7
7 a.m. is like when the noise ordinances end and people will complain.
This
Yeah,
is
so
internal,
Ken
though.
Sargent, who works with the building and design,
Yeah.
he's our OPM, so he'll be on site and letting them in, and he has dealt with all those issues. So,
Right, because I mean, like,
Yeah,
you're not even allowed to like idle trucks before 7.
And I'd prefer the library not be associated with the
Right.
ill will from
Right,
neighbors.
exactly.
Oh, we don't have a lot of residential neighbors, which is good.
That's
There's
true.
luckily it's mostly interior construction, too,
Yeah,
so there's not jackhammering outside or anything.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
Like with my other hat working with Needham Police in the traffic division, yes, there is an ordinance, but they don't necessarily have to follow it to the letter, because there's some companies, like tomorrow we start at 7, so I have a,
Well, that's when the
Detail.
ordinance starts, that's,
right, they get, some of them, as soon as they see us get there, they start. Some of them are starting before we get there, like at 6:30. When you have a large thing to do, they go and do it like that, but there's not a lot of pushback because they're trying to get it done before, if school is in, get it done before school's out, or traffic.
I have no problem with it. I'm just pointing out that there may be people that will complain about it. And they have every right to based on the town ordinances.
yeah, I'll confirm with Ken.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said we're all set.
Oh, I'm sure, right, exactly.
So the workday will end at 2:30, which lines nicely when high school gets out. So that's good. And the loudest noise will occur before we open at 9 a.m. And debris will be removed from the library before 9 a.m. So those two things, which would be quite disruptive, will happen when the library is not open to the public.
Okay, great.
So I'll reach out to Hank and Ken and see if one of them, along with a representative from Tower, can join us at the August meeting.
That would be great if that works.
Okay.
Just to hear from them, it's nice to kind of make the connection.
Oh, yeah.
And just kind of hear directly about, what they're thinking about.
Yeah.
And we might have a few questions for them too, so.
Okay, perfect. Speaking of invites, and I'll just put this out there, I don't know if in the early fall, if the trustees would want to invite the new town manager to a meeting.
Oh, that'd be
Oh, yeah.
real good.
Yeah.
Does that go through Rob?
I'd be happy to reach out,
Okay.
Katie, and certainly worked through a lot in the past.
Yes.
Town manager, so that might be nice if she's got the time.
And also typically July, we do meet with the town manager.
That's our normal cadence,
Yeah.
July or August, we meet with the.
The town manager.
Good idea to see where she's thinking about too.
Yeah.
Moving on, the financial reports, the state aid report is here and includes a couple of expenses listed, our canopy bills, an overdrive bill, some summer reading printing that we had done in support of the successful Dragon Level Up children's program. and then some professional reimbursements for attending MLA conference. So tonight we'll be presenting a plan for spending in FY26 out of the library state aid. The next report, the trust fund expenditures, there's a couple of expenditures. We have the overdrive, small bill for overdrive, and a larger bill for Ingram. We wrapped up our FY25 spending on materials in mid-May. And so now, until we have contracts in place for the FY26 operating budget, are using our Friends materials monies and trust fund materials monies to continue to select and order materials over the summer. So our staff efforts for DEIB are listed here for the month of June. The reference department and children's department programs and displays that we had. Along with those, the Poet Laureate program that we administer on behalf of the town, and Needham attended the Juneteenth celebration and recruited 2 speakers to read 2 poems, one from a 19th century poet and one from by Amanda Gorman, and a live poet. So the town hall was very happy to have the Poet Laureate be involved and help mark that.
And I
Great
love
day.
the 2 pride displays in the children's room and also in the main lobby. They were really good. Mark Pride Month.
I know the Poet Laureate's position was very important to Kate Fitzpatrick. With her no longer being town manager, is there a way to still ensure that she maintains a connection with the Poet Laureate?
Kate herself?
Yeah. I mean, is there a committee or anything? I wasn't sure.
She was on the selection committee,
Okay.
and her role
Well,
is
if there was a
town
continuing
manager.
committee, it seems to me maybe
But
she would continue to stay on it even if she's no longer.
right, maybe she could be the new town manager's designee.
Well,
That would be nice. But I'll just jump in and say now we attended the June 24th select board meeting, and Needham, the Poet Laureate, and myself to give an update to the board about her activities and the success of the program since December, followed by Anne reading her newly written poem called Home,
Yeah.
Needham 2025, which we have copies
they
of all the
handed out
service
at the
desks.
library desk.
Please take
Yeah.
one because it's just amazing. And
Yeah.
I think for Anne, if I'm going to be so bold, I think it was one of the highlights for that night for her to
Great.
have the first public reading there.
Oh, nice.
She
Yeah.
wanted to copy right away, and Anne gave her printout.
Okay.
It was a special night because before we got up there were a lot of speakers paying tribute to Anne,
Right.
to Kate,
Kate,
and
yeah.
to Kate and her dedication over 35 years. So it was just nice that we could get in there and read this really wonderful poem.
Yeah, Kate really had to endure a lot of ongoing sort of praise for the last few weeks. In fact, I just saw her on the day of the 4th of July. She was riding in a little car in the 4th of July parade. So that was
Saw
probably
it
her
too.
last act.
I waved.
Yeah.
And then the chart for the occurrences in our collection, we still continue to collect that. And then the chart on the new materials we added to the collection in June and the materials that we withdrew. So the withdrawal numbers you see here that are large are still connected to our preparation for phase 1, getting ready for that. So you'll see a large number of teen fiction and graphic novels were withdrawn in June. Moving on to the budget and expense report for FY 2025. You'll see we worked hard to be very prudent while at the same time spending every dime we've been
Yeah,
given
yeah, yeah.
in support of
great.
our patrons.
Yeah,
So this isn't our final
Not
report.
final.
We've submitted some additional invoices to be paid out of FY25 monies. So the next report, will probably provide that final number for you. But you can see we've,
seems like a higher percentage than we've seen in some recent years that, you know,
Remaining?
the having spent up more than the 90%. Could be wrong.
I'm pretty close,
Yeah.
I think. Was it last year we almost hit 100?
Uh-huh.
The salaries line is tricky.
Yeah.
Right.
But we generally, spend of the expenses in the books, the materials line. We almost always spend 98 to 99.
Got it, okay.
so you'll see a higher number than the 94.1 for the expenses. But the salaries will sort of say that we had so many vacancies in
Right.
FY25, there's just no way to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not get back that much. And then the stats report for May 2025. I just wanted to call out a couple of highlights. The fiscal year increase, the cumulative fiscal year increase in the number of people who have entered the library, with 1 month left to be recorded, is almost 12,000 more than in FY24.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
that's nice. And also we see attendance for teen programs, kids programs, and adult programs all have nice growth over FY24, even with 1 more month to count.
Yeah, so this is not the year end.
Right.
Here what was in the library notes that got sent out. I thought there was one of these forms that in the library notes that got sent out to the town last week or something like that. Yes.
In the trustees review of the FY25 action plan, page 17 is the annual data for FY24. So we wouldn't have similar data until August. So
What's it? I could have sworn I saw this form in.
Library notes?
No.
Maybe I read it in here somewhere when I was going through it.
it's
Is there another
The
one here
last-
somewhere?
well, the last page of the review,
Oh, maybe it's there. Yeah.
page 17 of that
Okay.
is the FY24 annual data,
Okay.
which is the same chart. It's just
I mean, an annual one as opposed to a monthly.
Oh, yes, there it is.
Okay.
Yep. So this is,
This is a monthly.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
for May.
yeah, right, but at the last page on the review is full year 2024. Right, okay. Yeah.
Any questions?
So, in that case, should we move on to the gift list? So circulated, we've got a list of gifts for the month. There are several, so I won't run through them item by item, but they're all in the packet. Having motion to accept those gifts.
I move to accept.
Second.
Do we have any discussion?
All the
Yeah.
gifts, as always.
For the 9,000 from the Friends, thank you to the Friends. Has any particular focus or?
Oh, yes, yes. So in January, the Friends approved our request for funding for calendar year 25. And about half of that money, they give us a check. It was around $60,000. And the other half of that money, they pay our bills directly through their treasurer. So this $9,000 is the second and final payment of the check that they give us that we put into the permanent donation fund from which we pay bills that are based on our budget requests that they approve.
Right, they have specific requests that the Friends review to approve to agree to cover, right?
Yeah, so this is money we was awarded to us by the Friends in January that we were expecting. So the end of their fiscal year was at the end of May, and then their book sale was at the end of May. So the second payment came in June and has been deposited.
Any further discussion on the gift list? Thanks again to everybody who did give gifts to the library. I'll do a roll call right now. Kay Cahill.
Aye.
Gerhard Gray.
Aye.
JP Alcom.
Aye.
Michael O'Neill.
Aye.
Megan Small.
Aye.
Joshua Small.
Aye.
And myself, aye. So we move on to the next item, which is a vote on the FY 2026 state aid spending plan that was also circulated packet for the meeting. Rob, anything to go over with that?
There's a new field notes that's included this year. And also just this includes the balance as of July 1st. I know it was draft was presented last month, but we still had bills being paid out of our library state aid. So the notes section is either references our FY 26 action plan, objectives and goals there, so that you can see a correlation between the request and our action plan, or there's information about something new that we want to bring to our patrons here. There are a number of phase one related one-time requests, from money for teen programming to money to make sure we've got earplugs and ear purifiers and masks. We have a request for staff wellness and self-care of $3,000. This would allow us to give a one-year subscription to every staff member to Headspace, which is a wellness app that they can make use of as needed. It's going to be a stressful 7 to 8 months here with that work occurring. So we want to make sure we do what we can to help our staff who may feel a little bit more stressed than usual. And library work, serving the public, is stressful in and of itself. Besides what will be occurring starting September 3rd. So you may be wondering why Overdrive Advantage is listed on this request, since we did move $26,000 into the FY 26 operating budget off of the library state aid list from FY 25. So this would be monies in addition to those $26,000, and money that, did I talk about this last meeting? Kay wasn't here, but I'll be brief. This money would be dedicated not so much to purchase additional licenses off the hold list in order to shorten the wait period for our patrons in Libby, but to start to curate a collection digitally like we do physically, so that we have most of what we spend is on like ebooks, so we can add audiobooks, we can add more nonfiction licenses, we can add more teen and children licenses, we can add more genre fiction like cozy mysteries, romance, science fiction, fantasy. We want to have a full and robust collection in Libby like we do here in the library, but we're spending that $26,000 mostly on making sure you don't have to wait 13 weeks to read what you want, the most popular. So we will still dedicate most of that money to that important work, but we want to start to build a real collection, curate a real collection as we do physically, because the growth in the use of this collection will continue. It doesn't suggest that it's going to be stopping. So there will be a time when people will be looking to the collection for more depth and for it to meet their diverse needs. You know, whether they're kids looking for things to read, or an audiobook reader, or someone who likes nonfiction. Currently, there's not a lot there's not enough there
Not you.
now,
It's more just bestsellers.
right? And fiction and ebooks, adult fiction ebooks. Yes.
So I'm a little confused too about like what role Minuteman Library Network plays in regards to having, building that collection versus the local libraries like ours. Where is that? How is that?
So they do some collection building. They have monies dedicated to children's titles, adult teen titles. And so they have selector teams that spend that money, but a lot of that money is based on holds.
Okay,
You know, so there is a wider collection out there, which the entire network has access to. This will create a Needham first diverse
Okay.
collection
so they would be available, these licenses.
if
would be
Needham
available to
patrons aren't
everybody.
using them.
What's that?
If Needham patrons aren't using
If
them.
they're not, okay. Okay,
And if a Needham patron places a hold on something and there are non-Needham people ahead of them, they'll jump the line to get our license. So it's always
It's our
Needham
license
first.
that first is.
Canopy is still here. There's a small increase from FY25 because that has seen some interesting growth, interesting in a good way, because Canopy started out a pretty much a niche offering of foreign films and documentaries. They're sort of broadened what they're offering. These are movies, films, shows, if you haven't used Canopy. So there's a small increase here to continue to meet that demand.
Thoughtful entertainment.
Yes, yes. But it's more accessible now than when it first started out. It seemed really,
There's more variety. It's not just documentaries.
some new items listed here that are really exciting. Fiero Code, we just had a webinar today with Erin from the teen librarian and then Wendy and Paula from Children's. Fiero Code is an online service that we can use to hold coding clubs in the library, but for all ages. But primarily we'll be looking for to do that for kids and teens, but it also is available for patrons of all ages at home to use, whether it's for fun or to earn a certificate to help them in their career or education. So it's really interesting. It's started and built by someone who began this by working in the local library offering coding programs to kids and really understands public libraries and our needs and the needs of our patrons. And so we discovered this at the library conference in Falmouth. So that's one of the benefits of getting out there and hitting these conferences, bringing back exciting new ideas. So we.
So would there be like instruction here at the library for kids who want to come in and use this? Or how?
Yeah, so we're planning on having coding clubs here.
Oh, okay.
The great thing about the coding clubs are that there's even the in-person ones are self-directed. So the librarians don't need to be coding experts to lead a coding club. So it could be a 6-week club in order to do Raspberry Pi or rock coding or something. There's a variety of different choices. So we're really excited and ramped up to do that. And they threw in 2 free months for us. So that's a nice bonus. So if it's approved tonight, we'll start with this on August 1st and be ready to really let our patients know about it this fall. Underneath that, there's a request for just about $3,000 for an annual license for MeScan, which is our new self-checkout hardware and software program. So we have the hardware, which was funded through our capital improvement monies. So this would fund the first year of the software license to go along with that.
That software integrate with the new app.
The new app?
The Minuteman.
The new
Minuteman.
name.
So, because I think on the app you can take out books too.
Right, yeah,
And
in
then
the
you can take
stacks
it out
you can,
there, but they don't,
but they both connect to your one account,
okay,
but yeah, you wouldn't need me scan on your
on your phone.
You could still check out in the stacks. They've
So you mean
replaced the current physical self-checkouts,
Oh,
and in
okay.
addition, we'd have one more near the card catalog by the open holds, a stand-up one. So people with their open holds can check out right there.
So you don't need your phone to do it.
Right. It's iPad-based. In addition, we're requesting $5,000 for one of our action plan objectives. We had a couple that are related to archives and the local history sections. So we have done, and when I say we, I mean Danielle has done yeoman's work over the past few years in organizing the archives, in digitizing things. We're at the point where we'd love to hire a consultant to come in and just do an assessment of what our next steps should be. You know, to look at the archives, look at the local history collection, come up with a report, meet with Danielle, and just let us know from their point of view where we should go, what's out there, and what we should tackle next.
And is this digitizing the archives?
It could, yeah. But I think we also have some preservation work to do. So that would be a key part of this, is for them to identify, to bring that high level expertise to let us know what in the archives we should prioritize.
What sort of materials are we talking about mostly?
We have town records. We also
Town
have
records.
some Wyeth paintings that aren't hung in the Wyeth room. We have some maps, photographs.
Yeah, those maps are nice.
And old town, like really old town records.
Yes, our annual reports are quite old.
Not 200 years ago.
Right. So we've Danielle's done a lot of good digitization, and that's important work, but we just need an overall plan that incorporates preservation and into what we should be focused on next. We're doing what we think is best, but it'd be great to have the expert come in and sort of give us a roadmap for the next few years. The professional development money is higher than what it was last year, but we think this is a great investment in all of our staff members, and we have the money available in library state aid, so we hope the trustees see the value in that. Asset software again is here. The revitalization trust fund, so you'll be seeing the library banners up in the center of town. Software subscriptions, staff efficiency, Gimlet and LibStaffer, those are the same from last year. A new item is the Poet Laureate program, expenses related to that. So that action plan item has us meeting and convincing the new town manager for us to take full ownership of that program instead of being its administrators. So part of the expenses related to that would be an additional stipend. The initial stipend of $500 for Anne was given to her in December, and it's for 1 year. So she is going to be the Poet Laureate until the end of June 2026. So there'd be a additional payment for her. And then we've had some expenses from the bookmarks to participation in Needham Open Studios. So we don't have a real plan to spend the other $1,500, but we want to have that ability to say yes to opportunities and to print more materials that we need. What we had done is ask the friends, you know, and we really want to ask the friends once a year in January or in the late fall for that one big request and not have to go back, as you've seen me, Jay, asking for $90 here, or $100 there. We really want to just get our act together.
Streamline the process.
And we think this is a worthy investment of $2,000. I think she's had great impact already. She's worked in the schools, at the senior center, at the UU church, here at the library.
Already a big success.
Yeah, and we have plans for that to continue in the fall. And she's been just great to work with.
One question I have is, she's been great. I've attended things with her. Going forward, though, once she's no longer poet laureate, do we feel like we have a deep well, or a deep enough well, put it that way, of poets in Needham?
I can tell you that I actually had someone come to me last week asking for information about the Poet Laureate program. Her husband is a retired professor of English who writes poetry and was interested in applying. They said, we do not have the application up yet, but check back later in the fall. So there are people who are going to be interested in that position.
So last summer, we had to extend the period for applications by a month because we just had one. So I think one of the benefits from all of the work that Anne is doing now is people are more aware of this program, and there should be great interest. Now,
because I do remember that we didn't have a lot of applicants.
Right. So, you know, she's getting the word out there, not just about poetry, but about the program, and that there is such a thing as a poet laureate. So, but it's a good question for us to keep in mind, and that's why the selection guidelines include a paragraph of if there's a need to pivot and to create or to change it into a creator in residence program that opens it up to innovators, inventors, entrepreneurs, painters, you know, to people who just create. So there's that flexibility within the guidelines.
That's pretty good.
But for now, we are all on board with poetry, and this winter we'll probably be launching the application period for the next poet laureate, who would start July 1st.
So that's, is that going to, I might be mistaken, is it something we need to make a permanent part of our budget?
Well, for now, yes.
Okay, thank you.
For now, it's
that was the
library
overall.
city because, you know, FY27 budget is done, but.
Did I go too far ahead for you?
No, I just wanted
thought
to.
the way you were talking about it, just
Yeah.
even opening it up more with the entrepreneurs and other people, it's almost like the library having its own version of the TED Talk. So, which would be really cool. And if that's the case, it should be something that we should be able to get some funding for in the budget on a yearly basis.
Yes, absolutely. But I was smiling or whatnot because you touched on something I wanted to end on.
Cool.
And that is that our FY27 budget request, which will go in early this fall, will include DSR 4s to move some maybe 2 or 3 items off of this list into our operating budget. And I think that is something that we should continue to do on a regular basis, because some of these items have been here for a while. They're not new or innovative. Some of them are just basic to our operations. So the website annual maintenance will be submitted again as a DSR 4. And we'll look at others that we can submit DSR 4 forms for, whether it's Assabet software or the staff efficiency. So some of those that have been there for a number of years that we can show they're working and they're important and they're just part of our operations and trying to move them off.
Right, when it kind of moves from nice to have to need to have.
Right.
We shouldn't have any need to haves in the state aid.
Right.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
fact, that actually speaks to something I did want to mention is that whether we should take a look at our state aid policy, the trustees policy, which basically does say state aid should be reserved for received many unpredicted or emergency expenses and non-ongoing. We know that we don't always adhere to the letter of that policy, but I was going to basically ask, do we need to kind of review that policy, or what you're saying is to try to move those items off the state aid list? That's kind of a different approach to the same question.
Yes, but I like to attempt to move them off in a gradual way where we get agreement,
Yeah.
not take
Right,
half the
right.
list and submit DSR fours for FY27. But if every year we can make the case that, 2 or 3 items have shown that they are needs and not wants, that we can shift them to the operating budget.
So the question is, do you think we should take a look at the state aid policy again, or kind of let that move as it is?
My thought is that, I think this approach is consistent with the goals of the policy. I don't have a policy in front of me.
Yeah.
I think we have enough retained discretion so that it wasn't a mandate.
Right.
We could choose to have something in here that is recurring if we needed to for some accident
Yeah,
purpose.
there are some, there's some elbow movement, yeah.
But I mean, as part of our regular policy review, yes, but I don't think that approving this would necessarily be inconsistent.
Can I jump in? Because I'm really glad you spoke specifically to the Acebet software and libstaffer, because we have been talking about those for a few years. It seems like they're pretty integral to what we do, and so I would hope that we would be pushing those toward operating budget requests going forward. I don't know whether it'd be helpful for us to either have something that helps us track some of those things that have recurred for several years, or helps us build toward those cases. Because I think that part of it is we need to make the case to the town to say that these are integral now, and then we as trustees should be advocating for that as well, to say that these things are integral, and so it's important that we move these into integration through a DSR4 when we go up for a review from FinCom. And so we'd love to, be able to help you make that advocacy, and knowing how many years we've been piloting this stuff and its level of integration into our workload. I think for a few of those items that have repeated might help us do that work.
Well said.
I'll finish up quickly. At the bottom is the rollover for FY25 for the in case there's emergency funding needed for phase 1. Right above that is a small amount of $4,100 to increase or to add to that, which is the balance of the unmarked FY26 funds. At the very top, I skipped a few items and I apologize. The first is in case tariffs affect our ability to purchase technology, according to our SIP plan that was approved by the town, we just want to set aside these monies so that we can still buy what we have planned to buy based on the technology plan and life cycle. So that's what that 8,000 is for.
So tariffs meaning buying things from
Electronics.
Right. So we've heard from some vendors that they expect increases based on. Yeah.
So it seems like a smart thing to do. Do you get advice from library organizations letting all the libraries know that they should think about doing that? Because it seems like
No, Danielle brought it up.
it's a good idea.
Yeah, based on her talking with her vendors.
Yeah.
You know, we want to execute, so we don't intend to spend it, but it's a safeguard in case we see that the money town meeting approved isn't enough for us to move forward with what we had planned for FY '26. $3,500. We want to continue with purchasing promotional materials like bookmarks and doing community outreach. We're gonna do more community outreach, so we want to be prepared for that, and also use it for signage. The third item, you may remember the goal 3, objective 4, was to hire a consultant to help us with our branding and creating templates and our messaging. So that is money we think would be valuable to help bring in an expert that can set us up for more consistent messaging and saving staff time with some templates and some deliverables that we can just use to execute on some consistent things that we do to
So
get
we're
message
talking
out.
about public facing websites, social media, public library notes, is that the type of thing we're talking about?
Yep, and also tone and consistency and sort of across departments, sort of just whether it's branding or the look of flyers or the website, all sorts of things, but also including messaging and yeah, it'll be fun. And I think this is both of these consultants, I think when they're hired, I will want to make clear that part of their work would be to attend a trustees meeting, because I think it would be useful for them to early on to speak with you, hear about your thoughts, but also talk about the exciting work that they plan to help us do.
So any further discussion on state aid request? Just keeping an eye on the other items for tonight.
I'm very thoughtful and well thought out.
One thing I think was great that Erhard mentioned, I think for next year, or actually maybe I could adapt this one, just not to delay approval, but just be interesting at the tracking, like when did these things first show up on a library state aid plan, so that trustees would know that.
And we could still approve tonight and see that information at a later date. Unless
More information anyway, it's not that. And we still, like, as of tonight, we still need for example, the $15,000 for overdrive.
And Rob, I just want to say thank you for the notes column. That was really useful
Yes.
in providing some
Yeah.
context and just keeping track of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me think of you know, when often you're applying for a grant, it's really helpful to have a budget narrative that's associated with that grant, so that the line items are explained with the stories behind them of why these things are important. And so that notes kind of helps us give a little bit of that budget narrative about why we're making the case for spending the money in this way.
This is also a document that we'd be sharing with others. So I think it's important to have that information to show connections, and hopefully a thoughtfulness to what is going on here.
So is everybody comfortable taking a vote on this tonight?
Yes.
I am.
Okay. In that case, I will do a roll call. Okay.
Aye.
Gerhard,
Aye.
Jay,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Megan, Josh.
Aye.
Myself, aye. Great, thanks, Rob. And that brings us on to the report on FY 2025, a copy of which was included in the packet. I believe the plan was, correct me if I'm wrong here, the plan was to include a statistical summary for the fiscal year, much in the form that is at the end of the draft that was circulated, but updated for FY 25 numbers, which are not available at the moment. The idea being that we could approve it at this meeting with the numbers to be populated, prior to publicity.
Yeah.
So before we open it up to discussion, do we have a motion to approve the review?
So moved.
Second. Go ahead, Erod. Yes.
And we'll open it up to discussion.
I think we've come up with a good system for evaluating, the efforts. Went very smoothly.
I don't know if there's much that we need to discuss. I mean, all these things have been previously discussed.
Right.
Just making sure
Yeah.
that, the letter is on with tone and everything. Thank you to Erhard and Jay for kind of compiling everything and
Yes.
editing. Much appreciated for kind of putting it into a single format.
And this will be forwarded to the town manager, that's the
Right.
plan.
And the select, and after the FY 25 data is attached,
Okay.
I think in the past it also
Uh-huh.
went to the select board.
Okay.
Town manager.
How about FinCom? I don't know.
Well,
Okay.
Can we put this, since we now have our nice new website, can we put this on the website as well? In case
Yes.
patrons want
We
to
do.
Absolutely, yeah.
review it as well.
Yep.
Looks like there's a comment.
Is there,
It's, you can see the first page, EG1.
Yeah.
I guess who that is, and EG2. And I'm guessing, I don't, because it's a PDF, I'm guessing that those comments are saying that FY 26 statistics to be added. Is that correct, Erhard?
I think there's, the two comments. One was one on the statistics page to be changed, and then the one on letter from the chair is to make sure that we finalize that with your signature when it's ready to go, rather than just have the placeholder signature.
And my thought, if it's okay, we do conform signatures like this on some legal documents, but it can be nice to have a conformed signature rather than your actual signature out in the public realm.
oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, however we want to produce that, we can put it into the final version.
I'll think about a way to make it look a little bit more formal. But that notwithstanding, any further discussion? Okay, in that case, I think we can bring it to a roll call vote. Okay,
Hi.
Gerhard,
Aye.
okay.
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Megan,
Aye.
Josh,
Aye.
myself, aye. And thanks to everybody for all of those updates that went into this.
Yeah.
Very good.
And especially again, the library staff for really doing
Yes.
the hard work to
Thank you.
evaluate.
Yeah.
And review the
Thank
work.
Staff.
All right. So on immediately shifting gears to the FY 26 action plan. Don't get a moment of respite. So Rob, thank you for putting that together and circulating it. I suppose we could do the same thing and do a motion and second, and then open that up to discussion.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
All right, I'll open that up.
One change from June is the measurement of success text now is consistent with the verb tense. So that correction was made. I apologize for that confusion. past and present and
Oh,
future
yes,
tenses.
thank you.
So, thank you, Kate.
When I started reading it, I was saying, we already done this, or, so I appreciate it.
Looks good. Seems like everything was updated based on our discussions.
Oh, sure, Rob.
Just want to let trustees know, internally, we've developed a worksheet and a log that will be working with all project leaders and project members for each of the objectives and goals listed here throughout the fiscal year. So that work starts on Thursday. So your approval is important because we're raring to get go, especially to start in July and August to get a good jump on things before phase one starts. But
Any particular part of the plan you're talking about? Or?
We technology items, we want to make use of July and August to get a good jump on those plans. The SIP will be due this fall, so that also where we need to hire consultants and the staffing analysis, we want to get some good work done this summer, so we're not behind. All we can plan for phase one is to expect the unexpected, which I think is a famous tagline from a reality TV show. But so some of those unexpected things may delay us. So before that may happen, we just want to get started where we can on this.
I have a question. When you refer to things like a technology plan and a staffing analysis and a community outreach plan, am I correct in understanding that those will be written plans?
Yes. Yeah. So the technology plan does already exist. So it'll just be we're just looking to revamp that. But the other plans don't exist, and so we'll be working on that.
Just a slight nitpicky under teams. One thing that it's the first time I think I've seen emerging adults used in the left there, and then a teen patrons. Standardize that across. I don't know if emerging adults means the same thing as teens. No. Okay.
It does not.
Okay, so that
So-
was intentional.
Right.
Okay.
So the objective language is straight from the strategic plan.
Got it.
And then the language for priority action items is us.
Okay.
So we didn't feel we wanted to or could change
The
that
plan.
language. But emerging adults aren't teens. That is true.
Yeah, this is a little pet peeve of mine, using the term emerging adults, I've never felt like is an accurate description of our teens and preteens, which is normally what we're really referring to.
You can add in the notes about our plans as the action items, it's just to change the reference from emerging adults.
Yeah, I do like that term.
Some of our older teens may be young emerging adults.
Right.
But
There
for,
be anything specific for them, or just my own curiosity?
there could be, but not this fiscal year.
Yeah.
We're just like so baked into teens and phase one that
Yeah.
it is
Fine.
a need for patrons in their 20s and
Yeah.
more so non-patrons in their 20s and making us relevant to them.
Yeah.
But
It's not
Not this-
teens, right?
yeah,
Emerging adults can even be broader.
I think it's like-
I've been referred to as an emerging adult.
For a long
It's all
time.
work in progress.
And no, there's also the term young adults, which the publishing industry uses
those
a
are
lot.
teens, right?
And that's teens.
I
So
think
there's a lot
emerging
of
adults
this-
is more
a lot
18
of
to
murkiness
24.
around that.
Right.
I have one other thing, and I don't think that this is the time to add it to this, but maybe for next year, actually, as Rob knows, an issue came up regarding a periodical, Morning Star, which a lot of,
Mhm.
apparently, it's a very well-known business investors publication. And I have also, which is no longer available through Needham, but is available through Boston Public Library. And there's some other like really important publications to which the public has zero access that I've encountered so it might be as we go forward, maybe next year and think about our collections, maybe do a little bit of an evaluation for some of the major periodical publications that are really kind of no longer available to people, maybe Journal of Medicine, if we get that in hard copy. But there's this shift, people expect now to see these things in digital form. Nature, which is this preeminent science journal, and a handful of important periodicals that have kind of been lost to the public unless you belong to a university library or something. So it's worth I think looking at maybe there's probably a major law periodical that.
Well, I have sort of a complimentary anecdotal take in terms of my experience, because I like to, I visit the library and check out the magazines and new magazines, and in part because once upon a time I had lots of magazine subscriptions, and now I live in a digital world, and I don't honestly get the physical magazine subscriptions like I used to. But I like being able to come to the library. I sort of have noticed perhaps that there's a decline in the number of magazines, some more empty slots there.
The print magazines.
The print magazines, and I'm saying that it seems like print magazines, at least for me, is a good thing to have, because many people are otherwise not getting. I mean, they get access to the articles, digitally and streaming, but it's not the same thing as really seeing the whole magazine, which they may no longer have subscriptions for.
It's more a case of every month we lose one or two print magazines that have gone digital or stopped publishing.
Stop publishing.
I do know
Okay.
that Cooks Illustrated has just announced that their last issue
They're ending.
is October, November.
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought it was
So-
Cook's Country.
Cooks Country, whatever it
Yeah.
is, Cooks Country is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that magazine is
Cool.
Cooks Illustrated.
And I've seen that. I know that others
It's
also
one of-
have done
But
it.
it is
I
an
know.
issue, but,
We're going out.
I will tell you that for some of the business ones and law ones, we're talking expensive
Very expensive.
subscriptions, some of which may limit how many people can access it at any given time.
So
So-
it's worth, I think, an evaluation of that kind of realm of the best periodicals and which ones we think are maybe important to make available, or others that, we don't, looking at those. Because when you go online to search, it is frustrating not to be able to get online some of the important medical journals. Or,
No, medical journals are very expensive.
I know they are.
The most in-demand thing in the library
Which
is
is all the more
probably
reason that the public needs some access, because if you're not affiliated with the university, they're off the table. There's no way.
So, I mean, I'm gonna be a little contrary on that. I would argue that specialty journals are not something the public needs access to, because, I mean, yes, it would be nice to have them, but like really specialty journals.
No, I'm not talking about special. I'm talking about
So you're talking about,
major.
you're talking more like
New
something like,
England Journal of Medicine is.
so New England Journal of Medicine,
Don't we
though,
get
if you're a
that?
layperson, is not readable.
It is. I disagree. Because this is what I've done for most of my life.
Right.
As a non-specialist. And I think also like Nature magazine, that's a preeminent science journal. That's very accessible. So anyway, I think there are people who deserve access to this.
Perhaps that might be something to look at through the lens of our collection development policy.
Correct.
This being a collection that we have. But I guess the question is, do we, we probably don't need to add it as an action item right now, but it might be something worth, discussing with the reference team, again, through the lens of the collection development policy and the relative,
Isn't it also a broader question for the Minuteman system in terms of whether for the larger group it could be accessible?
Yeah, this I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
there's
know.
all sorts of
And it
things,
doesn't have
digital
these things.
magazines and print magazines and access. through Libby, we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of digital magazines available,
Yeah, yeah,
but
they're
not,
the good ones.
right, yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right.
So it's like a
They're
big
junk.
question, and there's lots of places for us to look at, other libraries, and you know, what parts of periodic collections are libraries sharing.
Right.
You know, we don't allow checkouts of new issues, you know, things like that. So, but getting back to the Morning Star, if I could, and not to change the subject, but I do want to address what might strike trustees as confusing in the FY26 action plan. One of our objectives is to take this year to really market our databases and our digital services to our patrons in order to see their full usage after we give it a good college try of marketing. But we just canceled Morningstar.
Right.
So how do you square that, Rob? So since FY21, the logins for Morningstar have fallen by 83%. And it's our most expensive database at over $4,800. So you know, it fell from over 1,300 logins a year to just over 200 in FY25.
40 of them were you.
No.
Don't do it.
So we understand, but at $4,800, a good try at marketing, you know, if we were to lift that.
Did we do a good try at marketing? That's one thing I haven't really seen, marketing of our databases a lot. Anyway.
Right, and so in FY26 is one of our things we'll be tackling is to do that. But we made a decision before even doing that. In this case, because it's our most expensive and usage has fallen so much in 5 years.
And in that case, as we saw today, people can access it through BP if I develop an e-card.
With that one, yes, but we can let our patrons know that everybody in the state has access to get an e-card through the Boston Public Library, and that the Boston Public Library has lots of online resources that they can explore, but we really shouldn't be directing our patrons to a specific database. You know, we might receive a cease and desist letter from a certain company if we did that, but it is true that this database is offered by the Library of Last Resort.
Yeah. And that's also what prompted me to bring this up, was because then I went to BPL to look at the other journals that I'm interested in, and I couldn't get them there.
But so I just want to explain why we jumped the gun on this one and decided not to renew before trying to market it. That's not our intent, but this is our most expensive, and usage has fallen so much. We decided not to renew.
So circling back to the action plan, any further comments, discussion prior to the vote? Right, in that case, just so we can keep on, we've got a few more things to cover. I'll move on to the roll call. Earhart.
Aye.
Jay.
Aye.
Michael.
Aye.
Megan.
Aye.
Josh. And myself, aye. Next up is a discussion of a draft of the revised art exhibits policy. And it's circulated, and I'll hand it over to Kay and Rob for that.
So we, the art committee met over the last couple of meetings. We kind of went through our policy and didn't make a lot of changes, but just in the way of updating reasons as are listed on page 4. are to remove language regarding internal procedures. There were a lot of things in it instructing the artists on what they need to deliver to the library and when and how, which doesn't need to be in the policy. Just to organize the information better. Also, we made a little bit of a tweak to the term limits section, and we also made a change to, language that was restricting religious and political topics. So just to go so on term limits, for example, it did have the old policy, the existing policy had term limits of more than 2 terms. So the way it's set up is the board every year selects a new chair. So in effect, the board can change as many times as they want. And so we just didn't think term limits totally made sense for the art committee. The board can pick a new chair every year. The 2 standing committee members, currently Rob and Gay Ellen, are permanent members, so there's no term limits issue there. And then we have 2 other members. One is Friends, and one is represents the Needham Arts
Art Association.
Art Association. So for them, as we discussed it, we just thought term limits weren't really necessary. It's not so easy to find people who are interested in sitting on this committee and showing up at these meetings. And so we have a couple people who are in their second term, a 3-year term. And I guess we didn't feel like it's necessary to kick them out if they're interested in continuing. So that was one change. And then also the current policy that we'd like to change also had a sentence saying that religious and political displays are not allowed. Now, there have been some court rulings saying that religious groups must be treated the same as any group. So you can't really outlaw religion. And so what it basically leaves us with, so we're striking that sentence, and both the committee could weigh in on whether the topic, the subject matter is something we want to display or we don't want to display. We're not prohibiting religion or politics. And then it comes to the trustees, and the trustees can decide whether we want to approve or not approve applications. So there's plenty of discretionary.
Is that at the discretion of the board?
It's at the discretion of the board.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool.
And the committee can make a recommendation, but we're not in our policy going to prohibit religious or displays. So that's kind of the gist. Rob, did you have things you wanted to talk about?
No, you covered all of it.
Okay.
I had only one question. I thought
I also have a question.
looked great. There's a talk about no group can display more than once in 2 years. But I thought that the high school, that the art in the schools is every year.
We have, I
And
believe it's
Arts Lim
3
also.
groups that are considered grandfathered, so to speak, that they will get a chance to display each year. One of which is the Needham Art Association.
Yeah.
This is their term this year. They usually take November and December for both months. It makes it much easier for the hanging to happen that way.
So for the policy, do we need to say
I
unless
don't think-
otherwise approved in writing?
I had the same question too, because like Art and Bloom also is the same thing, that's every.
Well, no, that's really different. Open
Yeah, that's
Studios usually gets April. They love May, but they get April before their event happens. And then May is for the high school, but at least 9 months of the year for any other kind of exhibit, unless something gets extended on the vote of this committee, and we will be asking tonight for an extension on an exhibit. Normally it is just the 1 month. I maintain a list that I have kept for 17 years of every exhibit we have posted in that gallery, and I keep careful track of who has done what when, so that we keep to that 2-year agreement.
Right, but in reference to what Jay said, does there need to be language in this
We could put.
that 2-year thing can be waived for these grandfathered groups, instead of saying that they're grandfathered in, just
Yeah,
having that.
I think we could put some language in. We're not gonna vote on this
Right,
tonight, we're
exactly.
gonna vote it, so I can create some language.
We
You
can
guys
accept
could
as
create.
otherwise approved by
Yeah.
the,
With exceptions as determined by the trustee, as approved by the trustee.
Yeah.
There's some language.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
That makes sense.
any further discussion, comments?
Yeah, so if there's anything else, let me know.
Thank
and,
you.
You know, we'll bring it up for potential vote next
Yep.
meeting.
Great, thank you, Kate and Rob, for drafting that and streamlining it.
Is there a next policy on deck or something that we, for review? Is that the way we've been doing it?
Yeah,
But maybe not.
You have that list of all the check.
yeah,
Yeah,
I know, I have a thing.
Okay,
I think,
next one.
I think, the goal will be August to have a draft of a teen room policy.
Will I be working with you on that one?
Yes,
Okay, excellent.
so I'll be in touch.
Okay, good. I was gonna ask you about that.
That's the
Pressing.
next one on deck.
Yes.
We should have, well, me, just took a step back.
It's hard without having
Last couple
seen,
months.
seen people live in the team room, in the new team space.
So moving to old business, we're up for discussion. We've got a revised draft of the trustee onboarding document. And I know Kate had some proposed revisions to the first paragraph to streamline it a little bit. And I believe Kate has printed those out just so we can look at what they are rather than have to kind of verbalize it. But we can open it up for discussion since we will presumably not be voting on this today. Actually, this isn't something to vote on anyway. Just kind of,
Oh, yeah, that's just, right.
Case.
right, kind of just,
Something.
it's a resource.
I mean, we
but-
could vote on it and just say we approve. if we wanted to, right? And thanks to,
A warm welcome, you got here, Kay, right?
what's that?
A warm welcome. Your new language. It seems, but you're giving us,
But so-
you're adding a
Oh,
warm
can
no,
do
welcome.
no, so, okay. Well, let me call up my. Yeah, so this paragraph, so the existing paragraph basically says this is just streamlining it a little bit to make it a little more easy to read through, a little shorter, a little more reader friendly. It doesn't change anything. It just kind of makes it a little easier to read. So if you compare this paragraph and the one that's in our document, it's the opening paragraph. I just thought I'd try to streamline it a little bit. It's nothing major. And if people don't want this version of it, that's fine with me too.
And I would note that, in addition to this new first paragraph, there were some other changes Megan works to add descriptions of trustee responsibilities as outlined in the bylaws. So that there are a number of changes within the document itself
Right.
compared to the last version that Diana had kindly put together.
Thanks to Megan for going through.
I do have 2 comments about the additional responsibilities that Megan added. Both under the committees and related positions section. Art committee may serve as trustees liaison to the art committee. I think that the bylaws say that person is actually chair of the art committee, not a liaison to.
Oh.
And then in the last one, the PPC designee serves the library's designee. I think since all the other ones say may serve, I think we just need to have the word may there
And
as
it
well.
should also say the board.
Right, the boards. Yeah,
Yes,
because
yeah.
some libraries designee is.
Yeah, open to any, I had a comment there that said, please
Yeah,
fill in any additional information for these committees and things that I'm not as familiar with. Now that we see that policy for the arts, we can update that language there.
Yeah, yeah.
As Josh said, and
Yep.
anything else that I described it incorrectly, if it doesn't keep me easy, just report me right now, or if we want to spell it all out, I couldn't remember what it all stood for. Happy for anybody and everybody to jump in.
Next question about the chair information as well. It says, and serve as a member of town meeting. Is that an ex officio position now?
You
At
will be a
large.
town meeting member at large.
Okay, but
I
you,
will tell you though, if
but-
you're already a town meeting member, you don't get 2 votes.
so you also automatic, so if you're the chair of, I don't think I realized this, so I just want to clarify.
It's not just the chair.
If you're the chair of us,
Yeah,
you automatically become a voting member of town meeting, even if you're not a local elected town meeting
Yep.
member.
correct.
Yes.
Yeah. And I believe that's the same for all elected boards, or most of them at least.
Yes, and that was, that happened to me with my first year as chair, I was not on town meeting.
Yeah, no, that's fine, I didn't realize
But
that.
that was part of my,
Yeah.
my intent was to fill in all those things that we had learned over our time, to be right here as a great reference point, and for new people, so if there's anything else
I would
like that,
think
little nuances. Voting member of town meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything like that that's not included, love to get everything in there. And most of the official things, I referred to the bylaws and summarized it here, but anything that's practice or what adopted by practice without reading the bylaws, I'd love to have it on here, so everybody. So you know, if you were gonna become chair, then you're also gonna be going to town.
Yeah, good
Speaking
point.
in town meeting, and you should know that by the time you're gonna be chair, because in bylaws, it says you should
Serve the full
term
term.
before you get to be a chair, you know, all these things
That's the theory.
that we don't, that we've waived, which is totally fine sometimes. Yeah, all of that is great, and I really do appreciate Diana.
Yes.
Yeah.
Diana.
Diana.
And also, I did want to thank, and Megan, you pinpointed a bunch of good places where if we could type out the website name, if somebody prints this out and they're referring to it on paper, where possible.
I suggested footnotes or endnotes so that it would be a little less
Yeah.
clunky, so people can go down
So
and
you
get
can
it.
find like, okay, where's the MLBC website? or,
Right.
you know,
But then if we can put both active links and spell it out, so however they're accessing the document.
Yeah, because some people may have it on paper and. Folder.
So for the introductory paragraph, I mean, hey, this paragraph is fine to me. But should we discuss that on, are we good to use this opening paragraph and move what's in the draft? I think it really, the main difference is just not going into as much detail about policymaking authority for specific matters as set forth in the bylaws, because we go
It's
into
on the
that
same
detail
page,
further
it's
in.
just a little bit far, it's not even farther into the document, it's like literally on this, on the first page where we refer to the bylaws.
I think we had talked about when we first started editing this, I'm sorry, going back to the 11 first steps for the new trustees. The first 3 bullet points, read this document, if the director hasn't done so already, and if the chair hasn't done so already, reach out and set up a time to meet. You're meeting all these people at your first meeting because of, so like, no one's gonna have time to reach out. And you're not gonna have time to read this document before you come to your first meeting.
You know, in some cases, like, when there's a vacancy and someone is appointed.
Okay, that makes sense.
And also use that.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're
First
right,
steps.
exactly. Yeah, right, exactly.
I always find it interesting that people who are running to become trustees, never, a lot of those candidates never come and see an actual functioning meeting to get an idea of what's going on.
I watched it.
Well, I know some people can do it online, that's cool, but it's a little different when you're actually sitting here.
Yeah.
And you kind of get the feel of the room. So, yes.
So this document, I mean, we don't really need formal approval, but perhaps at least have a consensus about, it's a living document, revised as needed going forward. But do we kind of have a consensus that this is good to go with the revised paragraph and with a few of the minor tweaks that we discussed at this meeting?
I think that would be good because it's an ongoing, evolving document. It's not set in stone. So you're absolutely right.
voted support.
Okay.
So I can clean it up and bring it, share it next meeting.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
Diana.
Thanks to everybody who's involved with that. Moving on to the next item, we have an action item which relates to the Art and Exhibits Committee, so alternative K.
Okay. So currently we have watercolorist Zahana Kalis, who does these very exquisite looking nature watercolors. Jay's gonna show you. So they're up there now. We did not get to the point of lining up someone for August due to a variety of illness, travel, the whole schmear. So we would like to extend Zana through the end of August, at which point the construction starts and the gallery is closed for 6 months. So we would like to have a vote on that, and also at the same time, we would like, we already voted for Barbara Levtov, we voted 2 meetings ago to approve her going through cases. So I think that's all we actually want to vote on. Right?
Yeah. Oh, no, we do have one other.
That's right,
The
the EAR.
Daughters of the American Revolution have
Yes.
each year a exhibit that they like to do on the history of the Constitution. And I will be approaching Rob later about their annual bell ringing on our steps in conjunction with this exhibit. So we need approval for the use of the display case for that.
Yes, for the Daughters of the American Republic Revolution, it's a kind of a constitutional civic display. They like to put in the cases. I will say that the Arts Committee is moving a little more toward wanting to do art in the cases and less about civic displays. So in going forward, may or may not be doing as much of that sort of thing. But for the moment, we don't have any cases that the AR has asked, and so we need, assuming everybody's on board. So why don't I put forward a combined motion to approve the extension of watercolor Stefana Pekalis on the gallery wall until September 1st, and also for September in the cases, the Daughters of the American Revolution. The constitutional exhibit.
Will the constitutional exhibit be done by September?
Will be there for the month of
They will
September,
be putting it in for the month of September.
and we have to come up with some new artists.
Yes.
Okay, that's construction time, right?
Doesn't matter, it's far enough away from the construction that there should be no interference. In all likelihood, that will be the only thing that's gonna get built for the next 6 months.
Well, we may, you're saying that we're going to try to keep the cases, some art in the cases while the construction is going on.
Right.
Except the front of the library, it's not here.
The main reason we're shutting down the gallery during phase 1 is that will be the only way for people to access the 2 sections of the
Right.
second floor.
You
The
don't wanna
other
knock over
walkway will be closed off for construction.
Oh. Okay,
So we've got a motion. Do we have a second?
second.
Right, discussion on the motion.
I just want to add, Zana also has some 3D work in a display case, an
Yes.
additional display case, which would also
Okay,
remain.
so that's included.
Yeah.
Great. Any discussion on those 2 resolutions? If not, I'll move to a roll call. Okay,
Aye.
Earhart,
Aye.
Jay,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Megan,
Aye.
Josh.
Aye.
Myself, aye. All right, next up is the McIver series.
Thankfully for Gay Ellen Jennett, for me, Gay Ellen has just graciously, the first part of just the announcement part before the individuals, where there will be pictures of the people, is already up and running on the board. So those dates of October 26th, November 9th, and November 16th, our people are in. They've been in for over a month and a half.
And then on the events calendar too?
Yes, it's on the events calendar. And
Not
when they
quite
come-
yet, I'm still waiting for descriptions. As soon as I
Right.
get those, they're
Right.
going right up on the events calendar.
Yes,
We may not be able to sign up immediately, but they will be there for people to see as placeholders.
which is great, because now it's just getting that last part together. It was just really important just to get the people to say yes. I got those and committed to dates. So it's kind of funny coming here to say, well, now we're just waiting for a couple of people to send some pictures and a description of their workshop. So we're in a good spot.
Yeah, three very different and interesting events.
Well, what I liked, and I ran it past Gay, and I was saying, well, we called it a little something for everyone. It's kind of eclectic,
It is.
a nicer way of having like Alyssa Kazin, who's a Reiki master, who's going to do in her workshop. She's going to actually physically do things with people so they can alleviate stress and other things. Then we're going to have the Reynolds brothers from Blue Bunny and the Dot and all their books. And I think I'm going to try to get them to come back when we start to do phase 2 for the children's area. I think that would be a real feather in our cap. And then Jimmy Myers, who is a former Channel 4 ESPN sportscaster, but also a community kind of activist, and he'll be here. So that will be, it's like I said, a little something for everyone. So we're just trying to, it's my first and pretty much only shot at this. So I'm just trying to make sure it goes
Nice.
really well.
Good, thank you.
It's not done yet. When they're here, I'm trying to get them to have all their paperwork and stuff done. So.
Whatever happened with that speaker thing that Tom Harkins donated for?
Oh, baseball? It wasn't
Some
actually.
sort of, I thought it was for some sort of
It
regular,
was about a
regular
book
speaker.
that
Yeah.
was published that he actually had one of the articles in. And he brought some of the authors and some of the people who contributed to it for him.
Oh, they did, that
They had it
happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a long time ago, when he was doing the MacGyver series. We did have
No,
that.
I'm thinking about after he left,
Oh, and he left
As
the
a trustee.
baseball money.
and he, and
Set
I
up a
thought he
trust fund
set
for
up a trust fund, I thought for a speaker about baseball
I think it was
For
books.
baseball related.
or baseball related. That's
If I
my,
remember right, it was very carefully phrased that we could use it for collection building or other things.
Okay.
So, it takes a little while for it to show up, but, because, so it is on the trust fund report right now. However, due to how we handle trust funds, almost all of it is not expendable yet. So it needs a few more years of gathering interest before we can do anything.
I see.
Years?
That's what generally happens, because you want the,
Endowment.
yeah, so the first
Yeah.
lump is gonna stay there and will always be growing.
Mhm.
So it has earned some interest, but not a lot that we can do with $46.64. But I anticipate that after, now that fiscal year 25 is closed, in the fall, we'll get from the bank a list of all of the trust funds and the interest that they've earned, less any of the disbursements that have been made. And so we'll be able to make a new budget plan for the interest that we have. And it could be that at this point next year, we'll have been able to do something with that money. We'll have to wait and see that.
Great. Well, thank you, Michael, for that phenomenal
Thank you,
progress.
Michael.
Oh, no, I've learned from everybody else. So it was, I always wondered, I think what it is with the MacGyver series, it's just, people are very busy and I have some time. So you really need to take a chunk of time just to make sure you can get your people. For people who are like parents and lawyers and doctors, it's very difficult to kind of coordinate all that. So
Yeah.
I'm just in a better situation to having some freer time to just, I just wanted to get it done because I always felt bad for everybody else.
I can't wait to go to that.
Oh, that'd be fun. If I had more money, there was one other person I would ask, and I won't even say their name, but that would just probably eventually could generate something. I still might try to do it.
It never hurts to ask.
Yeah.
Sometimes
That's
people,
right.
they might have their standards.
Okay.
But for libraries,
Michael,
sometimes they'll be.
we'll see if we can't arrange something.
Because there's
Remember,
one
I
other,
have program money too.
right, there's one other person who works with the Boston Celtics I'd like to get to come here.
We got money.
Okay.
Oh, my
I will
Needham
ask,
That
I
would be cool.
would really, that would be the crown. I will put the feelers out there to see if he's available, but he's somebody that I know, and yes, it would be an executive, and it would be
Sell out.
probably
Yeah.
part owner kind of thing. So it's like, but it's also my mindset is to how do I get people to really kind of contribute to our library, and not just coming to talk, but to have it be something where people, okay, this is something we need to contribute to, and this organization has the money to do it.
Work with the friends of the foundation. Buy a ticket for dinner. I don't do fundraising, but
You know what, we probably can think about that as something, but I could probably, the group of people that I know personally, we could probably have kind of a couple of people where it's that kind of thing where people would generate interest, but it's also, let's get the programs together that we need money for, so that we don't always have to rely on state aid, but if it's something that can be donated to on a regular basis from an outside source, however that's done without usurping Rob or the town's authority, and work in conjunction with that. But that would be something. As soon as I stopped, I thought of this other person. I said, "Oh, okay," and then I know somebody else who knows that person also who could make that happen. So it's really finding those dynamic people in my like orbit and bringing them here. I have no problem asking, and they would do it for me. Some of them wouldn't want any money, but I wouldn't want to do that. I'd want them to come, whatever it is, they would probably give it back in. So it's kind of cool. Yeah.
Exciting stuff.
Yes.
And look forward to hearing at the next meeting on all of that. Moving to the next item, we've got the Friends update from Jay.
I was out of town for the most recent meeting, but I can say that at the meeting, I know that they reviewed the plans for the speaker series for the next year. They have some good names on tap. It seems like it's been rebranded as the Friends Sunday Salon.
Get your hair done?
But anyway, those names will be confirmed, I'm sure, at some point soon. I should maybe just mention also that Lynn McClellan, who's been the driving force behind the book sales, has stepped down from that position. And if you've ever seen behind the scenes what goes on, the military operation of sorts that's necessary to make that happen, she's really made tremendous contributions over the years, along with her husband Keith, who has also played a leading role in.
Staying or?
I think they're both still friends, but they've stepped back
Okay.
from their day-to-day contributions, and Lynn has, I think, passed the baton for others with regard to the book sales. But both Lynn and Keith, among all the friends, also deserve a special note of appreciation.
Yes, I'd like to agree and thank Lynn and Keith for the immense amount of work they've done over the years.
A library's hugely benefited from all of the money
Yeah.
that's been raised, the incredible amount that's been raised from all of those book sales.
They would say, and I'm sure it takes a village, but,
Right, it takes leadership,
It does
too.
take leadership too, that's right.
Great. In that case, we can move on to the Elven update. Earhart, anything on that front?
Yeah, so I attended their June meeting. They're on break for the rest of the summer, but June meeting is one of their key meetings in the year because they elect new officers. Not a lot of new faces actually in the officer kind of executives. Kathy D'Adesio will serve as the president again for next year, and Kathy Whitney will serve again as the clerk. They voted me in as a voting board member for the year, which I'm grateful for. So I'll serve in that capacity and as liaison from the trustees. They also brought on a new board member, somebody who's a certified public accountant to serve as their treasurer. And so they had done a search for that and had a couple of trustees that were in charge of that and chose one of the folks who was interested in that position. So that'll be a great asset to the LFN, and that new trustee will start, I guess, when their next meeting happens in September. The board approved a grant to the library's children's department, and they also discussed how they're eager to expand their fundraising capacity over the next year as one of their kind of key goals. And during the meeting, they also discussed some of the strategy for sending their annual appeal mailing. So that's kind of what the business was there and what got accomplished. And I'll report back when we have another meeting in September.
Great. Well, thanks, Earhart, for that update. And that brings us to trustee comments.
It's not necessarily library related, but town related. There are meetings about the new Pollard Middle School coming up. If you don't have current kids for the expense, which will affect everybody. The first one, I believe, is tomorrow during the day, and there's also a Zoom for it, and there's 2 more in the evening time. So I urge people to stay informed and know what's coming, because I believe it will be voted on in November. So keeping an eye on budgetary things. The school is sorting that unfortunately will be different, but it's needed.
I just had one comment on top of that, because, we know that the children's group are starting to think about phase 2, and I'm not sure what, if anything, we need to do to set the table for phase 2 to be considered and hopefully approved by the town. And we know that Pollard will have an impact, but I like the idea of sort of going as much as we can full steam ahead with a plan for the development of phase 2 to be the next part of the budget process. Maybe that's a conversation with Katie and others, but that's probably something to start thinking about to see if we can keep things on track with that as much as possible.
Yeah, I think definitely a conversation with Katie would be good on that front. The last I heard, I thought that we're going to request funding for the design work at special town meeting in October. But perhaps were we shooting for May of next year? Was that it?
I thought May was the timeline for design
Yeah, I thought so.
request.
Okay, I was jumping the gun then.
I just want to make sure it stays on
Yeah, right.
on the front burner as if it's a fait accompli of sorts, that's what's next.
It'll be part of our SIP
Okay.
submission this early fall, which will be for the fiscal years 27 through 31. So it was on our plan last year, design and phase 2 construction and design for phase 3. So
Okay.
they will be part of the request. You may remember last fall, the Kate Fitzpatrick, I think because of Pollard on the horizon,
Put it on hold.
put a lot of things in FY27 in the SIP on hold and did not move forward with the recommendation.
Right. I just want to sort of pick up where we left off as
Right.
best as possible.
And I think, so it goes to the town manager, and then it goes to the select board, and then reviewed by the finance committee. And if all of those bodies sort of are on board, then it goes to town meeting. I think that's sort of the process.
I don't think you need FinCom's approval, but they then weigh in on it after it goes on the warrant.
And
Right.
we'd want their support.
You want their.
Yes, yes.
So
I
some
think,
of the,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would just say some of the work this summer will be touching base with Hank to update the figures for phase 2 design and construction. So we have more figures that are more in alignment with current thinking, which probably means higher.
More money.
I like the fact that I think even just with Pollard on the table and all the other things, I think the fact that we're doing it in a fiscally responsible way in phases, it's not like a money grab. And I think that might be the saving grace for our future projects. I think everybody's kind of more comfortable with that because I know there was something that night that got a $19 million. I think it was for the building of the garage at the,
Oh, yes, the
yes, it
DPW.
was like
Garage.
DPW, like 19 million. So that was just one shot, but we're really
We're doing
trying to break it
smaller
down
doses.
in increments. So I think Pollard looks the same as when I went there. Mitchell looks the same.
That's
So
a
I know
frightening idea.
it is very frightening because I used to think those things were the biggest buildings and tallest lockers. No, it's horrible.
It's frustrating. It wasn't taken care of before now.
Yes.
It is what it is.
Yes.
So, you know, we're be there to hopefully get the best out of it. that
Or we get a new bike lane.
we can.
Don't do it.
It's potentially advocated for an auditorium or theater.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
going to be paid for by the state, so it would need to be something else, or it cannot be included.
Right.
And, you know, fellow human parent is arguing for that, and I will support that, something our town does for students. Happy to chat more afterwards.
You got it.
I have a trustee comment, just that I attended the 4th of July parade and meeting, which was quite fun and beautiful weather. We didn't have, it struck me that
You
some
have a
library,
float.
there's nothing there. Yeah, not
You
even
used to have a
but
float.
It wouldn't have to be a float, but perhaps next year, even just a banner with people
People
walking in
walking.
support of the library. Gay, you must know what.
I had
used
the
to be
same
done,
way.
I've
right?
been doing it for years.
You have been doing it.
I had the
Yes,
same
I've
reaction.
built us floats, we have done the
Yeah.
book card drill team. So it's been a little bit of time since we last did
Yeah, it's been a
something,
few
either
years, right?
because
So maybe-
everyone's just,
It doesn't have to be a
Out here.
huge, like, build a float, if people want to, that's fine, but, you know, some kind of presence of the library, and I'm
Yeah.
happy to participate.
I
Whoever's
wouldn't
got a
mind
fun card.
seeing, I wouldn't mind seeing the bookworm maker return. Is
book-
it, but we need to take a look at it.
The
and see if
bookworm
it's-
what?
Years and years and years ago,
I think I
the
remember
Friends
that.
of the Needham Public Library created a bookworm that marched down the street with
Oh.
kids holding it.
Oh,
Now, we
cute.
have that in our archives, but I am
Oh.
uncertain how fragile it is
Yeah.
at the moment. But it would not be bad if we had a return visit from the
The
bookworm.
bookworm, okay, yeah,
Like a
so
resurgent.
Yes.
maybe, you
Something to
know,
think about.
next
Yes.
winter we'll kind of.
I just like my idea of you take the weeded out books and instead chucking at people.
Instead of Tootsie Rolls.
Anyway, that was my.
Any further trustee comments? In that case, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
And I will do a roll call. Okay,
Aye.
Gerhard,
Aye.
Jay,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Megan, Josh, and myself, aye. All right, thanks, everybody.